Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Sivnet's Safe Academy for Kerbals. Today we're going to be going over docking. My last video we did a quick how to get to orbit. Today, instead, what we're going to be doing is, well, let's say you get to orbit and you want to dock two vessels together because, I don't know, you're working on a space station or something. Today we're going to do that. We're going to do some principles real quick to show you some basic things. I just want to go over the mods I'm using real quick. I am using Kerbal Engineer, which if I put down a part, you'll see it immediately. Bam! Kerbal Engineer! This is the newest version as of the day I'm playing today. 0.2.1. I'm also using Hot Rockets. Hot Rockets, the only thing they do is they change the visual appearance of your rockets as they are on fire, and believe me, it makes them look more amazing. That's what I'm all about, is the amazing. Couple that with I am using Docking Port Alignment Indicator. Also another lovely, wonderful little mod that helps me immensely with docking. And I will assure you, it's gonna be amazing. You'll love it. You'll see it, and you'll be like, oh my god, I need that. Okay, so, a few things here. We obviously need to get this little bad boy to work here. So we're just gonna add a few parts here to get this guy here. So let's go ahead. I don't want to add that just yet. Some RCS. So I'm going to go over a couple things here that are very, very important. One, the docking port. The docking port is immensely critical. Immensely critical. You're not really going to be capable of docking without a docking port. I mean, I don't know how many times I have to say this. Sometimes these things just slip, but that's fine. The second one is RCS. Now, every pod comes with a little bit of monoprop. These are called RCS fuel tanks, but the fuel itself is called monopropellant. Monoprop, sometimes for short, or mono. This gives us a little more, so we can do a little more maneuvering on our way up there. And then over here in the control tab, you have what are called RCS thruster blocks. These actually help you move around. Now, you have three different types. You have the Werner engines, which are actually use liquid fuel and oxidizer. So basically you can actually put these on your rockets and have your rockets use these to perform your turning and such for you. But again, they don't use monopropellant, they use regular fuel for your rocket. Now, the Place Anywhere Linear are great ports, but they lack one very critical direction. They have no vertical movement on their own compared to the thruster blocks. The thruster blocks do. So you'll notice these go up and down, left and right. But we're missing two very critical directions with this here. If this is like this, well, how do we go like this? Well, very easy, of course. You need to add more of these to provide you the ability to go in all directions. Very critical here. Now here we go, we got the Place Anywhere RCS port. We don't really need this anymore. I mean, you kind of can, like, put these on, angle them as you need them. I would say for the most part, you may not end up using it, but if you do, more power to you. I'm not saying don't. So this is going to be the crew we're docking to. We're going to go under kind of a simulation. Let's say they came back from the moon, or what have you, and they're kind of, let's say, stranded in orbit. Anything like that. So let's go ahead and get ready to flesh this out here, give the ability to couple all those amazing things. Because this is a safe academy, we do like to put on solar panels for our Kerbals. We're going to give it here, right up top here. Just a quick 4. And let's get fueling this guy up. So there's one type of staging of rocket that I really love to do, and it's called serial staging. Basically, as your rockets kind of go up, they kind of uncouple to have another rocket on the inside come out. More or less, kind of. I explain that completely terribly, but let's move on from that. So we're going to copy this. Hold down your modifier key to make a copy like this, and in the Windows system, it's the Alt key. So we're going to put this here. So up on our top half right here is here. Let me show this. So on the top of this system, you have 2,600 delta V with 1.39 of TWR. This means this is 1.39 times the amount of movement that Kerbal is sucking you in by, so you'll be accelerating away from Kerbals. So we're going to go ahead and add this to the bottom. We're going to move this down to the rocket stage, so the second this decouples, this will turn on. And then let's add an inner stage here. This guy? Yep, let's add a skipper. This is going to be a very small rocket. See, this is more than enough to get us up there. And usually a general rule about things, boosters. I could say you always need more boosters, but here, let's to the side. Let's add a little more fuel for the sake of really getting this. We want to make sure we really go to space. There we go. Excellent. So this will give us more than enough fuel to be able to go to space today. So here we go. Let's save this as docking vehicle. Docking vehicle 1. Alright, we'll go ahead and save that. And we're going to take all the Kerbals out except for one. Jebediah, our lovely crew member, decided to go by himself in a 3-man pod. Nobody knows why he did this, but he did. So let's go ahead and launch this thing. See if we can get this guy to orbit today. Which we totally will. We totally will. Alright, here's our flight engineer. It's off to the side. Get some orbit information. Oh boy, there is a ton of information here that we don't really need. We'll leave this for now, but the biggest things we're going to want to pay attention to is basically apo, parry, time of apoapsis, a little bit, inclination, things like that. We'll go over them gradually. Alright, so we're going to throttle up, turn our SAS on, and hit our spacebar to launch. Here we go. And as you see here, this little guy here is show high docking alignment indicator. Now this is basically going to help us with our docking. Basically, I have to get this guy to orbit, and then I'll show you. I'll launch the next vehicle, and I'll show you more about getting this to orbit. It'll be very amazing. So up we go. So watch our throttle here. We do have to worry about encountering terminal velocity, unfortunately. But it's not something we're really concerned with entirely at this point. Yep. Go. Jebediah is very excited about the prospect of going to space. He's stranded by himself for just a couple hours. So once we get to space, we're going to get ourselves in a pretty high orbit. We're going to put ourselves about 100 kilometers or so, circularize around there. And then what we're going to do from there is we're going to send up the next vehicle. Now, once we get up there, I'm going to show you guys a bunch of things about how to actually do some different types of docking things to help you finalize your such. Right. Alright. Drop the stage. Let's turn down the warp. Turn up the stage. So what we're going to do is burn right horizontally and right along here. What this is going to do is basically gradually increase our apo while we kind of work a little bit on our parry. Give us a little more burn time as we go. Right? Go ahead and just look straight down. Expand this out. All this stuff, very easy to do. Alright, so what happens when we encounter this? I don't know if I explained this last time. These are your radial ins out that kind of change the general direction of the circle. And you can kind of keep pushing it out until you get something about like this. Then, push it out. And oh dear. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Alright, want to do half in, half out kind of principle. Ready, set, burn. Right, we're going to circularize this orbit, and then we are going to completely drop this half of the rocket. We're going to completely drop this half of the rocket, and we are going to basically try to entirely treat this like he's stranded, but he has enough monopropellant to do a few things up here. Mostly, like, get himself saved. Right? Turn burn here. Let's get this just a little bit. Alright, orbit's a little off, but it's alright for us. So let's go ahead, and we're going to turn this way, and we are going to stage it. There we go. We have now almost no way of getting back. We can use the monopropellant to land us back down, but we don't have any parachutes. So this could be slight of a problem. So now let's make the rescue vehicle. Rescue vehicle is basically going to be the same exact thing, except for the parachute system. So we're going to call this now officially the second one. 2. And we're going to give you some parachutes. Now, we're going to do something a little different this time. Just a little different. What we're going to do is we're going to leave this on here. Obviously, we'll let the G-orbit take off this part. I want to show you how much of a difference that makes having that on there. It's going to make a huge difference. For the sake of safety, however, we actually here we are going to put 2 solar panels on though, just in case we run out of battery, because that could be a very bad day. All right, so let's go ahead and launch this. All right, so now we have 2 different ways of doing this. All right, what we could do is do what's known as a launch to rendezvous. Basically, what a launch to rendezvous would be is, let's say the probe, instead of being over here, they're right about here. We can do that. Or what I'm going to show is the more basic technique that applies to more situations. Launch to rendezvous kind of applies to a bunch of situations, but the meat and bones of this is when you're actually in orbit. Let's go ahead, throttle up, hit the SAS button. We're actually going to wait until this guy is practically perfectly opposite of us. So we're going to time warp. Alright. And wait for it. Alright, right there. Alright, we're going to launch now. Right. And go! Awesome. Up we go. Got a little bit of physical time warp going on here. Nothing to worry about. Seems a little faster than normal. This moved on me. See that guy? Moving on me. See what you did there. I'm watching you. Sneaky icon. Ooh, looks we're going a little fast for this altitude, I believe. It's alright. Alright, we're gonna turn over gradually here. We should really wait for about 10,000, but I have more than enough fuel to right, let's fully throttle up the rest of the way. Right. Moving our way up. Everything's moving up. Alright, promise I will never do that again. Alright, we're gonna study off a little bit. So we're actually going to circularize right about 90. Right about 90, we're gonna show you guys a few things. So, alright, go ahead. We're gonna hit X to kill all of our throttle. And we're going to stage. Right, here we go. So we're going to set as target. I'm going to click on our... Now, so here's an example. Here's an example. We're really close right now. Our APO is basically just very closely touching. It's not touching, but it's very close. So it's saying, when I reach here, this marker says when I reach here, this guy will be right here. So what that basically means is I am now separated by that much distance. So let's go ahead. I'm going to slow this down just a wee bit. 98, 55. That's not good. That's not good at all. Raise that up. Just a little. Alright. There we go. Perfect. Definitely take that. Estimated burn of 1 hour. I think it's probably going to take about another 30 seconds to burn this. Just going to warp up just a little. About 30 seconds. And we're going to go full throttle. There we go. Now remember, like, you want to go half in, half out, but you gotta remember you're gaining momentum as you're going. You're going faster as you're accelerating because you're losing weight by the fuel you burn. So this is very important to know. You will, if you got like a really long burn, you might want to cut off a little bit, not do a perfect half and half out. But again, we're just doing really rough approximations here. Nothing is entirely exact. Just do basically quick, get it done. This is how you do it. If you want to learn more from more finer, precise things about it, you're absolutely welcome to. But this channel isn't really oriented around that. Or at least this video, I should have clarified. This video, because there might be some videos in the future where I decide, like, all right, let's get technical. Break out the clipboard. It's time to start taking notes. All right, almost there. There we go, that's pretty good. We'll take that for now. We're just going to try to keep the orbits kind of sloppy, because sometimes when you have to do rescue missions around the moon or something like this, things are like this. They're not perfect. They're pretty ugly. Alright, so we're going to hit the Alt-L key. Now what the Alt-L key does is it's really the Alt key for me, because I'm on a Windows system, is modifier. It's kind of like Alt-clicking apart the VAB composite. What that will do, if you'll notice, my stage over here went from green to purple. That means no matter how many times I hit the spacebar, I will not stage. This is kind of a safety measure for me. I like to use it sometimes because I'll go to hit, like, let's say, my map key, and instead I staged. And let me tell you, there's nothing worse than that. There is nothing worse than that. Okay, so let's look at a couple things what we got going on the map here. So here's our friend, Docking Vehicle 1. He's pretty good distance away from us, and because it's kind of think like we're both on circles, kind of think of it as like a track, right? I have a lower orbit, so I'm gonna be going faster than him. All right. So as long as I'm on the inside, I'm gonna keep going faster and faster, and I'll eventually, not the eventually part, catch up to him. Now what we got here is our ascending node. Now, if you look at, let's say, Minmus, you know how, like, if you look at Minmus here, let's go ahead and set as a target. You see how it's not flat, like the moon is? This line here says this is the point where there is 0 degrees of inclination between you guys. So right here, the orbit is basically at 0 degrees, and up here, see if it, ascending node of 6.1 degrees. Up here about is right about where the orbit is around 6 degrees inclination change. So if you were to fly out straight here, this target would be 6 degrees above you. Now, this is a very short distance, and you might capture into Minmus. Most chances you likely won't. But what about millions of meters? Like with Elu, let's say. With Elu, if you were to come out here, and you were 6 degrees off, you're never going to touch that planet. It is so many millions of meters away from you, either above you or below you, that you need to kind of plan these things out. So with docking, it's kind of the same thing you got going on here. So if we set this kind of target, it's a very small amount. It's only 0.7 degrees, so it's not even a full degree. So we can, for the most part, we can successfully ignore them. So a few things here. This is where we are. So what we're going to do is at our inclination node, what we're going to do here is add a maneuver. Now this is, the way I'm doing this is kind of, it's fuel hungry. This is not a cheap way to do this. But it does kind of save on time. Not really, but it does save a little bit on time because you're waiting less. It's a little more of a gruff approach, but we're really using it to kind of explain the mechanics here. So remember, like I said, I'm running kind of like on the inside track, right? I'm going faster, and I will eventually catch up. It may take a while, but I will eventually catch up. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to burn prograde. And as you see, I'm getting different orbits. Now, these colors have to line up. So if I have, let's say, the orange node touching the purple node, they're not the same. They're two different intersect points. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep going faster, and you'll see as they're kind of working around in a circle as they start getting closer to each other. You see how the purple one's coming around here real quick. To here. And wait for it. Alright, so there we go. Got this little guy right here. Boom. So now, there's a couple problems with this orbit. Right, there's definitely a couple problems. One is it's kind of coming in at a very rough angle. It's not doing it very smoothly, very nicely, so you have to spend more fuel to not only burn out to get to this point, we have to spend 200 delta V to get around to this point. When we get closer, we're going to spend more fuel to finalize it and get us right on target. But for now, that's fine. Alright, so this separation, it could be a little better. It could be a little better, but I think for now, I have to go. Alright. You can make small little changes here and there. So, oop. Passed it. Alright, there we go. I'm not going to be precise with burning this node, but that's fine. Alright, so you see this marking here, right here? This means you are now facing away from your target. And if I spin over here, this means I am facing my target. This is our node here, so we want to get ourselves right on that. This is where Kerbal Alarm Clock would be very handy. Unfortunately, I don't have it at this moment. In the future. Alright, so let's go ahead, time warp up. It's going to take us only 13 seconds to burn this node, so we'll do a little bit of time warp as we get there. Right, slow it down. 5x. Get it to. Alright, let's kill the time warp. Awesome. Get right on the target here. We're going to wait for about 6 seconds, and we're going to go full throttle. And alright, full throttle. Ah! The sun! It's bright! I hope our Kerbals remember their sunglasses today. Unfortunately, I have made a mistake. We seem to have 3 Kerbals inside of our crew cabin. This is a little bit of a problem. But for now, that's fine. Alright, so we cleared our node. It's important to clear the node because your node will still show over everything else in the orbit while you're in here. And you could be off by several meters, but this will say, hey, your node that you made, you're still right. Anyways, so there we go. We have a separation of 0.8 kilometers, which is 800 meters. So literally what we're going to do here is we're going to fly around and come back to this guy. Now, there's one target mode, or one kind of mode here I want to make obvious for you guys. We have surface. This shows us how fast we're going across the surface. And then target mode. This is going to be very critical to us. Very critical to us, because we're going to use this to burn when we get close to this guy to do our docking. Okay, so here we go. Just encountered our apoapsis. Speed it up just a little more. Alright, as you guys can see, I'm on the outside track. I'm going slower, and this guy's on the inside track. He's going faster. So what's literally happening is I'm coming around, and he's catching up. Now, you could do this with several orbits before I made this burn, and you will eventually catch up. It's just not instantaneous. Okay, so here we go. Let's slow down as I try to explain a few things. So this node is coming up in about 2 minutes. And if you notice with our target, you see the speed here? This is our difference in speed. So basically what I'm going to want to do, is I see this guy right there, I'm going to... See, this is good. This is kind of what we want right here. This is our prograde vector is right on our target. So what we're going to want to do is turn over to our target here. And as we get closer, we're going to want to gradually start slowing ourselves down, and not at the 800 meter mark, but a little bit before. So we'll wait till we get to about 30 seconds here, or I'm sorry, 1 minute, and we're going to slow down a couple hundred meters per second. Now, this takes a little while, but it helps us ensure that we're going to get a nice close docking. We're not going to be going too fast, anything crazy like that. Right? About to encounter 1 minute. Alright, so another thing I want to show you too. We're going to intentionally screw this up a little bit here. So with retrograde orbits, what you want to do is you kind of want to push them in the direction. So if I turn my engine on, you'll start noticing that this is starting to push over here. I'm pushing this back onto my target. So let's say if your retrograde here was like way over here. What you would do is get it in the way so you could burn here and push it down to your anti-target right here. We're going to call it anti-target. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and speed up a little more. We're still moving very fast, and once we encounter it at 300 meters per second, we didn't want to go whizzing right past it. Alright, here we are, getting closer. 19 seconds. Alright, so we're really going to want to burn this up here. So we're already within a few couple thousand kilometers. So we're going to burn this right here, pushing this right on target. Don't be afraid to kill your velocity, and just kind of ease yourself in. Sometimes going way too fast with these creates a problem. And that's one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to be creating a huge problem. Alright, now I've gotten to the point where the craft is loaded, and you notice my dock line has loaded. Now we'll go over all the wonderful features of this, and hopefully explain it to you. Alright, so now officially what's happening is I'm moving at my target at 17 meters per second. Alright, let's get this a little on target here. The X right over this little circle there. Okay, so moving at 10 meters per second. So with our document alignment here. Alright, so here's our distance. Here is our current velocity. This tends to be a little more accurate. A couple other things it does. We're not going to really go over that. So dock line. Here's your roll. Right here, this is your Q and your E. I'll show you that number right here. This is your prograde vector. This is saying, hey, you're moving here. It's pushing this line this way. This is your target, where you're actually pointing. So we're going to say open shield, control from here. This is saying, hey, if this is in red too, it means you're pointing away from it. So we're going to go ahead and slow down just a wee bit more. Put this a little more back onto our target there. Alright. We're coming in within target. Here. And we're just going to kind of gradually just keep slowing down just a little bit as we keep getting closer and closer here. Right. Now we're going a difference of 5 meters per second about. This will tell you we have 200 meters until closing. But this automatically kind of targets your other port there. So we're going to go over to this vehicle. We're going to open up the port. Shield. Alright, there's the other guy right there. So we're going to turn. Wow, that was fast. Alright, so if you see, like, I'm trying to turn, but I can't get it just right. We need to slow this guy down, by the way, before they collide, because that would be bad business. Alright, let's slow this guy down. Let's slow him down. Let's try to get as close to 0 as we can. Alright, 0.1 meters per second. Perfect. Okay, so we're barely moving ever so slightly towards him, but okay. So let's point over to our target. Now, if you remember, I said we're not going to have RCS or RCS thruster blocks on this. Yes, I don't have those. Now, I can turn my vehicle all I want, and I can go forward with my engine, but I can't do any fine-tuning control. And that's really where docking needs. Docking absolutely needs that fine control. Absolute fine control. So we're going to tell them to say, hey, you point right at the target here. And we're going to go over to this other guy here and say, hey, you. Set the docking port as a target. Go from here. So we're going to put ourselves kind of right on it. I would kind of follow this, but not entirely. This is really going to be your friend here. Docking port alignment indicator. It's not going to entirely... It's basically not going to lie to you. Alright, we're going to try to get this to 0 as best as we can. Alright, it's probably about as good as we're going to get it. Alright, so if you notice, my prograde vector is all the way over here. And looks like I'm going a little off-center from this guy. That's not good. That's not what we want to do. So here we go. We're going to line up our target. So we're right on target. There's our prograde. So if we hit our R key, we hit H, it'll cause us to go forward just a little bit. You see how a little white puff of smoke came out? And now we're moving towards it at 0.2 meters per second. We hit N, it'll slow us down. If we hit J, pushes us this way. Right? K, that way. I, that way. And L, that way. And you notice the prograde marker moves around. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit J here a little bit, take this prograde marker, and move it in such a way that it starts forcing it back over here. Now you don't want to go too fast with this. This is the beauty of space. Nothing is fighting against you except gravity, and as long as you're not touching the atmosphere that's constantly slowing you down, you have time to do this. Take your time. It took me a long time myself to get docking down pat, and one day I was just like, you know what? I'm going to learn this. I am going to learn this, and I am going to do it, and I did it. So I'm going to promise you it's going to be a little painstaking, it's going to be a little difficult, and I am not against offering suggestions. If you guys need help, put them in the comments. I'll definitely check them out. So we're going to go here. Alright, so we have kind of like the trifecta of perfectness here. The roll indicator isn't important unless you're trying to match multiple things to kind of dock with each other. But here, the green line's basically where it needs to be, prograde is basically where it needs to be, and our target circles need to be. They're all lined up in wonderful magic. So here we go, we're still moving it at our target at 0.1 meters per second. So we're going to H a couple times to shove us forward. Target's getting a little off, so we're off to the side just a little bit. Say, hey, you should get back over here. So now these two targets are going to dock. And I'm using purely this over here. I'm not using it visually. If you guys want to use it visually, I highly suggest you hit your V key till you get to a chase cam. Because what this will do is, if you notice, I'll hit left, and I'll hit right. This will rotate your craft in such a way that will feel natural to you, and gives you very good visual feedback, which is very important sometimes when learning, so you can also do that as well. So here we go, we're almost on target. Now what's going to happen is this is going to suck us in. Don't be worried, that's what's supposed to happen. This is going to start going crazy, so we're going to turn off our SAS and our RCS, and it's going to suck us right on in. And there it goes, boom, and bam, smacked right together, just like that. Alright, so now what happens this means is we are officially docked. So what I could literally do is right click this. See my monoprop's a little empty? Go over here, say, hey, fill me up, man. And there we go. I got fuel. Now, this is something very important to know too. If you're docking two large ships together, make sure you know where you're controlling the vehicle from. I cannot express how this is a very bad thing. This is a very bad thing. So let's say, hey, we want to go out to the moon. So let's put this right here, and we'll say, hey, I want to go out to the moon. There we go. See? We have a little moon encounter going on. Not a very good one, but we do have one. So, hey, this is going to say, okay, well, go here and burn your rocket. Now, I believe this is correct, because we want to go in the direction that this is firing, so we want to be firing along this way. And if we say, hey, control from here, it'll do it. But if somehow this is in control, this is what's going to happen. This is going to flip around. Your entire vessel is now completely upside down. So what's going to happen is you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to go apply my node. Node, where'd you go? Go right here. Alright, I'm like, alright, well, let's start burning. and instead you're going to be burning retrograde. Very important. Just something to look out for. It could catch you, could slip you up. Alright, so let's transfer our Kerbals out. Like, alright, well, who's where? So what we're going to do here is you can actually, when you mouse over the crew hatch, you can click on it. See Jeb in there? We can hit EVA. Alternatively, you can find him down right here. But they all kind of look the same. I'm not really sure who's where or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and get Jebediah out of there. So if we hit spacebar to let him go, we can let him go. Now he can't move, so let's hit R to activate our little jetpack. See, he turns around for us. Awesome. And let's say for some chance he happens to be working at night. You can hit his L key for lights. You get little wonderful lights here. So this vehicle is currently full with 3 guys. So what we can do is just park ourselves nice and close and rack a key to transfer over to this vessel, and that would be on vessel. Go ahead and let's get Rolly out. Let's get Rolly out. Oh dear, he's free falling. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. We're safe. All right, so we're gonna go over to this hatch here. Now, with these guys' commands, Shift will put you in the upward direction. Control will put you down. And then, as normal with the rest of your rockets, WASD will help you with EVAing around, like left, right, forward, back. Alright, so here, F to grab. So we'll grab right on that, and then we get board. If we hit space of let's go, it kind of lets go of the ladder that you're on. So let's go ahead and mount on that. We're going to hit our bracket key again, and get Jebediah here, who's coming back from space, but we don't want to lose Rolly, so I'm going to have Rolly kind of hang out in the space pod for now. We can come back and get him later. Grabbed right on there. Board the vessel. Alright, so we need to undock now. So right-click, undock. Now, disable crossfeed. You may or may not need this, but what this does is it prevents fuel from transferring back and forth. So, do you remember how I used this vehicle to fill up this guy's RCS a little bit here? Well, let's say I want to put it back. I will disable the crossfeed. What will happen is, this will prevent me... Okay, so this game just made me a liar. This is amazing. Alright, so never mind. Don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Disabling crossfeed is supposed to do that. I believe it does it with the liquid fuel on the Oxy. Monoprop, probably not, obviously. Anyways. Oh boy. Anyways. Yeah, that's basically the gist. It's going to prevent fuels from cross-feeding across it. I'm pretty sure monoprop is allowed to, while the oxidizer isn't. Mods sometimes allow you to get past that, but that's not important. Anyways, so we need to undock because we want to go home. So let's undock this. Oh, and just so you guys know, I do not edit these videos. This is all 100% as it's happened. Unless, at the start of the last video, I kind of said the name wrong 15 times. That's besides the point. Alright, so let's go ahead, close the shield. So, if we were to say burn retrograde because we want to deorbit the vehicle and go back to Kerbin, well, this would be a pretty bad scenario. If we were to just turn the rocket on, what's going to happen is, literally, this guy's going to come flying into us because we're slowing down our orbital speed, or speeding up, and this guy's going to come flying right into us. So what we're going to do is going to kind of turn... Nope, not working. This way. This is where the chase cam comes in, because if I was using chase, I would be able to literally look at this guy and say, hey, this is this way, this is this way. Let's point down just a little bit. Let's get out of chase. Go back to auto. We'll turn on our rocket ever so slightly, just to get past this guy. Right, and there he goes. And then he's going to be off on his little adventures. And let's get rid of that node. Alright, so he's fully away from us now. Good, solid 30 meters, moving up very quickly. Alright, let's go back to map view. Let's burn this down. And we're going to enter back into Kerbin. You'll see our orbits coming down. That's our periapsis. Alright. We're trying to do a little dayside landing here. Let's just crank it all up. Use all the fuel. Use the everything. Alright, we'll land right there. Alright, and here we go. Come in. Back down to Kerbin and home we come. After a very... Oh, the music suddenly stopped. Game, what are you doing? Alright, here we go. We got 4x physical warp. Now, 4x physical warp. We got, again, a reminder from my last video. This could be a problem. This could be a problem during parachute deployment and during landing. So you make sure you want to turn it off when you are 700 meters above the ground. And when I say above the ground, you'll notice two things here. You'll notice two things. You'll notice your sea level kind of matches that, and terrain does not match that. It's very critical to know the difference there. Alright. The altimeter here always shows basically your sea level. But never what's actually truly below you. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to ditch this can right here. And, oh, my stage is still locked. Remember to unlock your stage, kids. Otherwise, you could result in a slight accident. Alright, so there we go. Alright, so this is also another thing you should really try not to do, is land in the hills. There's a bunch of reasons why you don't want to land in the hills. One being, if you land on the side of a slope and go rolling down the hill, it could be very bad news. Everything's gonna be fine, folks. Alright, parachutes popped open. We're gonna turn on our SAS in an effort to kind of prevent this from rolling horribly down the hill and everybody dying. Oh dear. Alright, here we go. And almost there. Alright, slow down the warp here, turn it off, and contact! Oh dear. Oh dear, the sliding has begun. Oh boy. It's fine. This is completely normal. Moving at 20 meters per second, this happens to everybody. This completely happens to everybody. Just pretend it's normal. It's like sledding. It's sledding on black snow. Except this really isn't snow. And it's kind of like not exactly black, it's like a little grayish color. And look it, it's like a little sled. You're just sliding down the hill. Everything's fine. This is perfect, guys. This is supposed to happen. So guys, that's what I'm going to say right there about my docking tutorial. We have completely made it safe home. 0 issues. I want to thank you all for watching. Go ahead, hit the subscribe if you will. The next video that's going to be coming out is a moon landing. That's right, folks, a lovely moon landing. We're going to go over some quick strategies with that. We're probably going to use MechJeb to show you some quick strategies on things and how MechJeb calculates things and how I would do things. MechJeb is very useful for one piece of information. Stay tuned. I'll tell you what that piece of information is. Thank you guys so much, and you all have a wonderful, safe adventure, and thanks for watching.